All right, here we go. This is a really important topic too, because I know it's very common. And whenever I talk to a coach who is going through a certain struggle or a lull, because there's a lot of ups and downs in this business. Remember, success does not happen this way. It happens like this, and then this, and then this, and then this. So at a time when you are in a valley and you're struggling, that's typically when I'll reach out and talk to coaches. And sometimes we find that it's just because of a certain distraction that's happening in their life right now. And distractions are awful because they will lead you in the wrong direction. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the story about the sea turtle eggs, but I think someone told me at one of the conferences that I was at that female sea turtles swim to shore and they lay their eggs there, and then they leave. And when the sea turtles are born, they are drawn to the light of the moon. I think there's even a book about it, which guides them safely to the ocean. Okay, so the sea turtles are born, they see the light of the moon, they start to, I don't know, crawl, whatever sea turtles do, and they start to move towards the ocean by following the light of the moon. Well, depending on where they're at, they start getting distracted by light that's coming from the shore, various restaurants, the boardwalk, and what happens is they are drawn to that light instead, and they end up heading down the wrong path. They don't make it to the ocean, and they don't survive. And I thought that was a really interesting, true story, and it relates to us the same way. So instead of, following like the pure light of the moon to get to the place where you need to go, we tend to see all of these other shiny objects and we get distracted and it leads us the wrong way. And then before we know it, like snowballs, and we don't know how to get out of it. So I'm just going to mention a few distractions. There's a ton. I'm just going to talk about a few tonight and how you can overcome that. And I'm not referring to time. We say a lot of times that we're busy. And so being busy is a distraction. And that, it really boils down to, if you want this business bad enough, you will find a way to make it happen. And if not, you'll find an excuse. We're all busy. We all have the same amount of hours in a day. We all go through the same, different struggles, but nonetheless, we all go through our own struggles. And we just have to figure out a way to make it work if this is something that we really, truly want in our life. So I'm not going to talk about schedule or time or being busy, because that's something that we just really have to figure out. And I went live on my Facebook page today because Steve and I are kind of running into a situation right now where, he's still getting acclimated to being at home and helping with the business. He just picked up a new coaching position, which I didn't expect it was going to be a full-time job, but it is. And it's taking up a ton of his time. We are in one of the busiest seasons of our business because we are really working with a lot of UK. We're doing a lot of UK recruitment to get ready for that launch. We're like barely keeping our head above water. And then of course, managing Brennan and trying to spend the end of summer with him and get him to all his sports and blah, blah, blah. You know how that goes. So we struggled today and we started having, an argument basically. And so we had to decide, like, we need to figure out a way to make this work before we go crazy or, it affects our relationship. We're getting way too distracted by everything that we have going on. And so these are things that I always come back to during times when I feel distracted by things. It's typically one of these things. So I'm going to go over them really quick and then talk about tips on how you can overcome. Hopefully some of this will speak to you because you'll learn maybe what you can do to overcome that. The first one is fear of criticism. That's a huge distraction because especially when we're new to this business, we're worried about what people are going to think, what they're going to say. Are we going to get, unfriended? What are our family and friends going to think? And we get so distracted and caught up in that we just choose not to do anything. We choose not to post. We choose not to follow up with somebody because we're worried about the criticism that we might get. And that, that was me when I started. I was worried about, over posting about Beachbody. I was worried about what people were going to say. I was already hearing things. Obviously, I worked for Chalene before I became a coach. So I was already hearing, people talk about like, well, she's just doing this because, Chalene told her to do it because Shalene's going to make all this money off of her being a coach and her selling her programs. And so, that was distracted. I was worried about what people were going to think. My husband at the time said, like, this is a ridiculous idea. You're going to waste your time and your money. I had one of my very, very, very good friends unfriended me on Facebook because she's like, I cannot take all of your posts. You're posting about Beachbody all the time, and I'm deleting you on Facebook. I mean, so I had a ton of criticism out there. And I remember having a conversation with Chalene about it once, and I was addressing my fear. And, I don't want to overpost, or I don't want to post pictures of my kids, or, I'm worried what people are going to say, or somebody's going to find out where I live and, come pick them up or whatever. And I'm hesitant to post. And her response was, what are you afraid of? And I said, well, I guess I'm worried what other people are going to think. And she said, okay, do those other people, are they going to pay for your mortgage? And are they, going to cover the cost of your son's therapy that you need to take him to? Because you need to treat this as a business, and you need to treat your social media as a business. This is something that you really want to do. And it's going to come with criticism, but those really have no impact on you directly. You're creating the impact from the inside out. Does that make sense? So we are causing ourselves to get distracted because of just the fear of simply what other people might think. And you have to talk to yourself instead of listen to yourself. Does that make sense? Because we have this fear, and so we start thinking, we start listening to that fear, and we think like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe this isn't right for me. Maybe I shouldn't run a challenge group this month. Maybe I shouldn't follow up with this person because I already asked them last week and they didn't get back to me. We start to feel that fear, and we give into that fear. So instead of listening to yourself, I want you to talk to yourself, and I want you to, feed your mind with words of truth and trust, trusting the process and understanding, reminding yourself why you're doing this. It's more than just helping people. That why needs to be specific to how it's going to help your life. And you need to be selfish about that. And remember, why you do what you do. Because we don't get burned out because of what we do. We get burned out because we forget why we do it. And when you get caught up in that fear of criticism, you forget the bigger picture. I also want you to remember, just to continue to live your purpose. And if you feel like you were made for bigger things, and this is something that you should be doing, then you need to act on that rather than giving into that fear of criticism. Okay. Another huge distraction are failures, which is a natural part of the business. And you have to remember that when you fail, you aren't really failing. You are becoming. You are growing. You are learning. And so, but what happens is if we have a failure in the business, or we make a mistake, or we don't close a sale, or we lose somebody who's going to sign up to be a coach on our team, we lose them to another team. I mean, that kind of stuff happens, and we take it so personal that, again, it causes us to get so distracted that we can't pull out of that hole to move forward and continue to do what it takes to grow the business. So the next time that you fail, just remember that failure is a natural part of this business, and it's going to keep happening, and you can't let fear of future failure stop you from moving forward in the business, because we get so caught up in that fear, we decide that we're just going to avoid risk. We're so distracted by the thought of having another failure that we just avoid it altogether. We decide not to take the risk because, it's not worth it, or I can't handle another failure, or, I feel like this business isn't going anywhere. And so we fear, we avoid the risk, or we just become a victim of it. Like, this must not be for me. I'm not good at this. I'm not doing it right. And next thing you know, you quit because you got so distracted by that failure, or that fear of failing again. So in order to create a solution for that, you have to remember, number one, that we're all going to make mistakes in the business. We're all going to experience failures in the business, and that's okay. I mean, we for those of you who have kids, we teach our kids that, making mistakes is a normal part of growing up. So we can't start to beat ourselves up if we make a mistake or if we have a failure. All we can do is just use it as a valuable lesson to learn and grow and to figure out what we can do better the next time in order to have more success. And that's always going to change too, you guys. I mean, you might think like you have the perfect post or the perfect challenge group or the perfect script or the perfect procedure for this. And just when you think you have it, nothing happens. And then you're like, oh, I just figured this out. And then something changes and you have to figure it out again. So, understand that that's a natural part of the process too. Other ways to stop getting distracted by failure is ask for help when you need it. So if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you're not moving anywhere, if you're having failure, you're not having success, then talk to your upline, talk to me, talk to if you have an accountability or a success partner, talk to them. Because if you ever feel like you're completely on your own, then that makes it harder to pull out of, which obviously you're not. You've seen the Team Dynamite page. There are literally hundreds. I think we just hit the 1,000 mark. People there for you. Tons of teammates, coaches, positivity, support, and people who are, sharing your goals and sharing your passion. And you also have to remember, so ask for help when you need it and think outside the box. So if something isn't working, you have to figure out a different way. So Amy messaged me tonight. She had a great solution. She doesn't want people to, keep waiting to the last minute to close on the challenge pack. And so she came up with an idea tonight about, offering an incentive or running a little contest. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, is think about something you can do differently so you can get a different result. Okay, I think I have two more. The third thing that we get distracted by, and this is a big one, is greener grass. We always think that the grass is going to be greener somewhere else. We think that we might be happier or we might be more successful anywhere but where we are. And that typically happens when we struggle. When we hit a rough patch or we start to struggle, we start looking around going, what are they doing? What do they have? Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should have that. Maybe I need to do what they're doing, be who they are, dress like they do, post like they do. And we start chasing that. And we start chasing that, looking for greener grass somewhere else, that we get so distracted. And obviously that's going to have a huge impact on our business. So I've learned that if you want to have success, you can't chase it. You have to decide to make a difference where you are at right now, and success will find you. And so once I made that decision in my head that I knew I loved fitness, I did the research on this company to know what it can provide, and looked at the compensation plan. I understood it, and I made the decision that I was going to make this work for my family for so many reasons. Single mom, kids in therapies, didn't want to have to worry about him going to college down the road or not being able to go out to dinner because we couldn't afford it. I really wanted to be able to provide, and I wanted to be financially worry-free. And let's face it, your life is so much easier when you have money. And I knew that the job that I was at was going to give me like maybe a 1% raise every year. And I looked at the potential of this compensation, how it can grow annually, depending on team volume and the team cycle bonus. And I went for it. I planted myself in, I put my head down, and I was just determined to have success with the business. And I kept working and working and working consistently, and I let success come to me. So if you decide that this is something that you really want to do, then work at it and work with passion and work with purpose, and that success will come to you. But the problem is we all want instant success and gratification. Who doesn't? We want it to be easy, just like people want weight loss to be easy. And we know, for those of you who are in it right now, that doesn't naturally happen when you sign up to become a coach. Like, it is a lot of work, and it does take time, and it does take consistency. And when we don't have that, that's when we start looking around. We look around at other people's grass to see where it's greener. and we worry about what everybody else is doing instead of focusing on what we are doing. So many times I'll have a coach call me, or, we have our one-on-ones weekly, and they'll be like, well, so do you know this coach? She's like a, 10-star diamond, and she's posting about blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nope, never heard of them. You don't know this top 10 coach so-and-so? I'm like, nope, never heard of them. Don't follow them, not friends with them. The only coaches that I follow on Facebook are you guys, people from the team, and then like my BFFs, who I was friends with. I do think that as a newer coach, it is a good idea to add some coaches on Facebook so you can get ideas, but you can't get caught up in thinking like they're doing something and you're not. You should be doing that so you could have what they have. You really need to be just authentic and genuine in you, and not get distracted about where the grass might be greener or there might be greener pastures. Here's how you do that. We talked a lot about it, being yourself, being authentic, staying focused on your own journey, trusting the process. And, when I talk to a coach who's struggling, we always take a step back and we say, okay, two things. If you're struggling and you're not seeing what you want, let's take a step back. Number one, do you have belief? Do you have belief in not just the programs and the products, but the company and what the coaching opportunity can offer? Do you have belief? If the answer is yes, then we say, okay, if you have belief in the coaching opportunity and the company and, the business and the programs and the products, are your actions matching that? So it's really got to be a matter of two things: your belief or lack of belief, and maybe that lack of belief is in yourself too. And if that's the case, then you need to dive back into personal development, or your actions aren't matching your beliefs. So you have to trust. You have to really trust the process. You have to put trust into the company, into the team, and into your sponsor that they're going to lead you the right way, and be consistent. Another way to avoid that distraction of the grass being greener somewhere else is find balance in what you do, because when we get stressed out from this business at times, which it happens, that's when we start looking elsewhere. And we need to have balance. Sarah and I just had a conversation about this too. And I think Sarah learned that she said she was going to try to unplug on Friday nights, so she doesn't feel so overwhelmed, or she doesn't start, I told her the last thing you want to do is start resenting the business. You always want this to be fun, and you want to keep your passion high for it. And so if that means you have to unplug once a week, take a day off, it's your business. So you guys know what you put in is what you get out. So you have to make it work for you. Gratitude. So not just being grateful about, the Beachbody community and what Beachbody offers, but just being grateful for what you have. And, I struggled with that too, because there are a lot of coaches that were my friends that signed up at the same time as I did. And they're like, I don't know, double 15-star, multi-million, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know. Elite coach every single year, and I'm like, it's natural to look at that and go, oh man, I don't have that. Why didn't I achieve that? But then sometimes I have to take a step back and say, you know what? Look at what you have achieved, and look at how far you have come, and look how this business has already changed your life, and focus on that. And then another way to avoid that distraction of greener grass, of course, is just having joy. So keeping this business fun, and, finding the pure joy of helping people. And that's what you want to lead with. You want to lead with the mindset of helping a person. You don't want to lead with the mindset of a sale. Okay. And then the last tip to avoid greener grass is, this is going to sound funny, but I'll help you connect it, is developing your elevator pitch. Because the more confident that you are about this business, the less distracted you will be by whatever everybody else is doing. And we become more confident with learning and with practicing taking action. And to me, your elevator pitch is so important in giving you confidence about what you do. And it's kind of hard. I still tell my husband to this day, like now that I'm meeting people in the UK and talking to them who've never heard of Beachbody, I'm like, it's kind of hard to explain what we do as coaches. It really is. So I need to work on my elevator pitch. So when I talk to a new person who asks what I do, what is a coach, I'm able to just knock it out just like that. Don't even have to think about it, with confidence. And if somebody asked you right now, so what do you do, or what is a coach? Do you know what you would say? And so that's what I'm talking about when I'm referring to elevator pitch. I'm not talking about like a sales pitch. I'm talking about an answer that you would give someone when they ask what you do or what a coach is. And, you know, the term elevator pitch comes to, you know, if you run into somebody at an elevator, you only have like 10 seconds to talk about what you do. But let's move that into, you know, let's say that you are at a networking event, or you're at an open bar mixer, or you're at a trade show, and somebody says, hey, what do you do for a living? And a lot of you do this as a side job. So you would say, you know, oh, I'm a teacher, or I'm a nurse full-time, but I'm also a coach as a part-time position. What is a coach? And then you need to be able to describe it. And that's different for everybody. I mean, and I don't even say the same thing twice. Like I said, I really need to work on my elevator pitch, and I've been doing this for 9 years. I still don't know how to answer the question, but I basically say, oh, I run a home-based business where I help people improve their health and fitness at home. There's Steve. They're not amused.
You got nothing?
No, go take a shower.
I just did.
Oh, okay. So I suggest that that's something that you practice. It's not a time for you to ask for a business. You know, it's not a time for you to try and talk to them about selling a challenge pack. It's just like really that short 10-second blurb about what you do as a coach. And once I finish this recording and I post this, maybe you guys can give it some thought. And when I post it in Team Dynamite over the next 24 hours, we can comment below this post in Team Dynamite and talk about what your elevator pitch is, or what you would say. I'll start by giving my example, but I'd love to have you guys jump in. So I think that is another way where you can speak with confidence about what you do as a coach, and you feel that confidence and you own it. And when you own it, it is yours. You're the CEO, and you'll start looking around elsewhere because it's yours. This is your, you know, huge part of your life now. I don't want to say like Beachbody is your life, because obviously it shouldn't be your life, but you live Beachbody, meaning you live the vital behaviors. You take care of yourself. You inspire people on a daily basis. You know, so you have to own that and know that you were made to do that, and that will help you become less distracted looking elsewhere. So that's all I have. Oh, I tried to keep it in 15 minutes. Okay, unmuted, you guys. See if you have any questions. Nothing? Let me tell you really quick what we are talking about next week. I typed it in my notes. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, I can't find it. It was a good topic. Anyways, Andrea's going to lead next week, but I can't. Topic was, but it was good. It's so good that we might have to move it on a different day, which I apologize for. But oh wait, here it is. Okay, we are talking about building relationship formula over a 14-day period. So because, you know, we talked about before, when you meet someone, you start to build a rapport and you build relationships, that kind of stuff takes time. And, you know, a lot of times coaches will ask me like, what do I say? What kind of questions? How do I build a relationship? And you can't really put a script on that, because your conversation's always going to go in a different direction, depending on what commonalities you have with them, or, you know, what they do for a living, or, you know, whatever. But this formula, it's not necessarily a script, but it's a formula that will hopefully help improve that process of building relationships, so you can lead it into a potential invite if you feel like that situation or that person's ready. So that'll be next week, but I'll post the information for you guys. Okay, that's all. Thanks for being on, you guys.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night. Bye.